been wanting to make a granny cluster tree skirt for such a long time, and I'm so excited to finally share what I came up with. I think I'm going to call this the tickled pink tree skirt because I'm just so tickled with how it turned out. It's easy to memorize and really simple to resize. The finished skirt measures about 36 inches in diameter and is made up of 34 rounds. I used a 5mm hook with a weight 4 cotton yarn in about 7 different colors. The center opening is roughly 3 inches wide, which was actually more than enough, but if you want to resize these measurements, you'll find all of those tips at the end of the tutorial. We're working from the center out. To begin, make a chain of 26. To make a granny cluster, that just means we're doing 3 double crochets into the same chain or space. To start that, work 2 double crochets into the 4th chain from the hook. The chain does count as your first double crochet, giving you a total of 3 double crochets. Chain 1, skip 1 chain, and make 3 double crochets in the next chain. Chain 1, and then skip 1. And we're doing this all the way across until you have 2 chains remaining. Don't forget your last chain 1, and then do a double crochet into the very last chain. Now if you're using one color, just chain 3 and turn and work 2 double crochets into the very first chain space. That's your first cluster made, and you'll continue to do that throughout the tutorial. But if you are changing colors, fasten off now, and I'll place a card in the upper right of the video here so you can see in more detail what I'm doing here for my color change. And then chain 3 and turn. And work 2 double crochets into the very first space to begin row 2. Row 2 is a straight row, meaning we're just doing granny clusters in every chain 1 space across. So just chain 1 and work a granny cluster into the next chain space, and continue this all the way across. Chain 1 and work a granny cluster into the next chain space all the way across. After your last chain 1, add a double crochet into the very last stitch. Fasten off, change colors, and get ready for row 3. For row 3 is our very first increase row. The increase is going to be 3 double crochets, chain 1, 3 double crochets into the same space. For row 3, we're doing this in every single space across. Chain 3 and turn, and work 2 more double crochets into the same space. Add a chain 1 and 3 more doubles into the same space. Chain 1 and add an increase into the next space. Remember, that's 3 doubles, chain 1, 3 doubles. Followed by a chain 1. And you're just going to continue this all the way across, an increase in every space. When you come to the end, make sure to add that last chain 1 and do a double crochet into the very last stitch. At this point, it does look like a flower, but don't worry, this is going to round out. Fasten off and do your color change, chain 3 and turn, and work 2 double crochets into the first space. Chain 1. For the next 3 rows, we're doing straight rows. That just means that we're doing a cluster in every stitch across with a chain 1 in between. And when you reach the end, add a double crochet into the very last stitch. Repeat this for row 5 and row 6, just exactly the same thing. And as you can see, those 3 rounds really help to soften those points. And that is the 4-row repeat. We're going to have an increase row followed by 3 straight rows. We're back to an increase row. So for row 7, we're going to start with a cluster plus 1 increase all the way across. Chain 3 and turn. Work 2 double crochets in the first space to serve as your first cluster. Chain 1 and work an increase into the next space. Remember, that's 3 doubles, chain 1, 3 doubles. Chain 1, and now continue this across. A cluster in the next chain space. Chain 1, increase in the next, followed by a chain 1. Continue this all the way across, adding 1 double crochet in the very last stitch. And now we're back to our 3 straight rows. Just like normal, chain 3 and turn, and work 2 double crochets in the first chain space, followed by a chain 1, cluster in the next chain space, chain 1 all the way across. Easy peasy. The next increase is really easy to figure out. There was only 1 before. This time there will be 2. So chain 3, turn, 2 doubles in the first space, chain 1, and then do another cluster in the following space. Chain 1 and do your increase in the next space. So the repeat across is 2 clusters, increase, 2 clusters, increase. When you come to the end, add a double crochet into the very last stitch. Fasten off, change colors, and we're back to our straight rows. Row 12 through 14, just a cluster, chain 1 all the way across, ending with 1 double crochet in the very last stitch. For row 15, we're back to our increase row, and looking at the previous round, we did 2 clusters in between an increase, so this time it will be 3. 3 clusters, increase, 3 clusters, increase all the way across, not forgetting those chain 1s in between. One of the biggest issues with working circles in the round is that the increases create a natural point. These straight rows really help with that, but another thing you can do is to reverse the order in which you do those increases. Here you can see I'm starting with an increase first in that very first chain 1 space, and then doing my 3 clusters. The math is completely the same, you're just doing the sequence in a different order, which will help make it look rounder. After row 15, you're going to fasten off and then follow it with 3 straight rows. And that's basically it. You're just going to continue doing this 4-row repeat until you complete your tree skirt. I did 34 rows. For the edging, I did a simple single crochet with a picot stitch. Super, super easy. To begin, make sure the front side of the very last row you made is facing you. Follow along and find your way to the center and fasten on at the base of round 1. I just did this with a standing single crochet. Fasten on however you like best. Add a single crochet along the raw edge. I found about 2 single crochets per row worked really well. I prefer to work into the stitch rather than around it. It just seems to make it look a little bit straighter for me. And I just make sure to catch at least 2 strands of yarn to make sure it's nice and secure. When I came to the corner, usually I like to do 3 single crochets, but I found 2 was plenty. For the decorative edge, I did a picot stitch in the center of each cluster. So it's still a single crochet in each stitch across, but in the middle or the second stitch of the cluster is the picot. So add a single crochet, chain 3, then slip stitch into the base of the same stitch that you just did your single crochet. And that's a picot. Single crochet into the next 3 stitches. This will get you to the middle of the next cluster. Single crochet, chain 3, slip stitch into the base of the stitch that you did your single crochet. And just continue this across. Single crochet in the next 3 stitches. In the next stitch, single crochet, chain 3, slip stitch into the base of the same stitch. I just added a single crochet into that very last stitch, and then continued on with the next raw edge, adding 2 single crochets into that side. Continue working single crochets along the raw edge, just like you were doing with the other side. Trying to make it as nice and neat as possible. Fasten off and weave in your ends. At this point, the tree skirt is finished, but I decided to add buttons to help close the skirt around the tree, but this is totally optional. I used 5 buttons that I just staggered along the edge as evenly as possible. I placed these on the right side of the skirt and then added stitch markers on the opposite side because I'm going to add a loop. To attach the buttons, I just took 2 strands off of the yarn and attached them with a double knot. I wasn't too fussy with this because I wasn't sure if I was going to like it or not. I added stitch markers on the opposite side. This is where I'm going to attach loops. To do that, I fastened on with a slip stitch and did a chain 10. And then did another slip stitch to secure the loop. And then I just weaved in those ends. This worked really well. For my button, I think I could have gotten away with 9 chains. And I did this for all 5 buttons. And that's it, a super easy, super cute granny tree skirt. Now, if you do want to resize this, it is really easy to do. Just simply go up or down by 2 chains. So for example, if you want it to be wider, instead of doing 26 chains, you can go up to 28, 30, 32. If you do want it to be a tinier center, then you would go down from 26 down to something like 24 or 22. The amount of chain spaces will be slightly different, but the pattern itself and the 4-row repeat is exactly the same. But if you have any questions with that, just leave a comment. I'll be happy to help. I am working on a written pattern for this, and you'll find it in the description box below the video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.